The first time she looked at me with something other than competition in her eyes, the world outside was falling apart. The highway was buried beneath sheets of relentless rain, phones had lost signal, and the company retreat we had both tried so hard to avoid had turned into an unexpected disaster. Then she looked straight at me and quietly said, "One night only." At that moment, I thought she was asking for a temporary truce. I had no idea those 3 words would become the beginning of the greatest love, the deepest heartbreak, and the most life-changing journey I would ever experience. Before we begin, if you believe in kindness, forgiveness, and the incredible power of second chances, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment sharing where you're watching from, share this story with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to the channel for more emotional stories that remind us how unexpected life can be. People often think the greatest rivalries are built on hatred. Mine wasn't. It was built on misunderstanding. For 6 years, Olivia and I worked in the same marketing firm, climbing the corporate ladder one impossible deadline at a time. We competed for promotions, led opposing project teams, challenged each other's ideas during meetings, and somehow always ended up compared by our managers. If I succeeded, someone would ask why she didn't. If she won an award, someone would wonder why I had fallen behind. We became unwilling opponents in a game neither of us had created. Everyone in the office loved the rivalry. It gave them something to gossip about during lunch breaks. They called us fire and ice because our personalities couldn't have been more different. I believed in careful planning and patience. Olivia trusted instinct and bold decisions. Every presentation felt like another battle. Every project became another scoreboard. The strange thing was that underneath all the competition, I secretly admired her. She worked harder than anyone I had ever met. She stayed late without complaining, defended her team even when management blamed them unfairly, and never celebrated another person's failure. But pride has a way of disguising admiration as resentment, and I convinced myself she was simply standing between me and the future I wanted. The annual leadership retreat arrived during the worst storm our state had seen in years. Management insisted the event would continue despite weather warnings. Several of us traveled together by company shuttle toward a mountain lodge hours away from the city. Halfway there, landslides blocked the road behind us while flooding swallowed the road ahead. Emergency services directed everyone to shelter at a small roadside inn until conditions improved. There was only one room left. The exhausted manager apologized repeatedly, explaining that every nearby hotel had filled with stranded travelers. Without even looking at me, Olivia sighed and quietly said those unforgettable words. "One night only." She wasn't making an offer that carried romance or mystery. She was simply agreeing to share the room because neither of us had another choice. The room itself was painfully ordinary. A single large bed, one small couch, a flickering lamp, and rain hammering against the windows so loudly it drowned every thought. I insisted on sleeping on the couch. She argued that it looked uncomfortable. Eventually we compromised with blankets spread across the floor. Even then, silence stretched between us like another wall. Something unexpected happened during that long night. Without conference rooms, deadlines, co-workers, or performance reviews surrounding us, we stopped being rivals. We became 2 tired human beings who had spent years carrying invisible burdens. She admitted that her father had suffered a stroke 2 years earlier and that every promotion mattered because she was paying for his rehabilitation. I confessed that my younger brother depended on me after our parents passed away, and failure at work never felt like just failure. It felt like risking the stability of the only family I had left. As the hours passed, I realized I had never actually known the woman I had competed against every single day. Morning arrived with clear skies and a completely different understanding between us. Back at the office, nothing changed on the surface. Meetings continued. Deadlines returned. Promotions remained competitive. Yet something invisible had shifted. Instead of trying to defeat each other, we quietly began helping one another. She caught mistakes in my presentations before clients noticed. I recommended her ideas during executive meetings instead of pretending they weren't brilliant. Nobody else seemed to notice, but our work became stronger because we stopped treating success like something only one person could have. Months later, the company announced that only one senior director position would be available. Everyone assumed the rivalry would explode again. Instead, something even harder happened. During the final evaluation, I discovered that Olivia's proposal had accidentally been credited to my team because of an administrative error. No one else had noticed. Correcting the mistake could cost me the promotion I had chased for years. Keeping quiet would almost certainly guarantee my victory. I barely slept that night. The next morning, I walked into the executive office and explained everything. 3 days later, Olivia received the promotion. People thought I must have regretted my honesty. The truth was more complicated. Watching someone else receive the opportunity one had dreamed about hurt more than I expected. I smiled during the celebration, congratulated her sincerely, then drove home feeling emptier than I had in years. I wondered whether doing the right thing always had to feel so painful. A week later, she knocked on my apartment door. She hadn't come to celebrate. She hadn't come to apologize. She had come to resign. The executives had offered her the position, but after learning what I had sacrificed, she refused to accept a promotion built on someone else's integrity. Instead, she proposed creating a new leadership division where both of us could work together. Management initially rejected the idea because of budget concerns. Then something remarkable happened. Several of our biggest clients specifically requested that both of us remain on their accounts because they believed our combined strengths produced the company's best work. The executives changed their minds. Neither of us lost. For the first time in our careers, we stood beside each other instead of across from each other. Friendship arrived quietly. Love arrived even quieter. There was no dramatic confession beneath fireworks. No grand romantic gesture. It happened through ordinary moments. Coffee waiting on my desk after difficult mornings. Late-night phone calls discussing work that slowly turned into conversations about childhood dreams. Hospital visits when her father needed surgery. Birthday dinners with my younger brother who quickly began calling her family before either of us dared to admit what we were becoming. Then fate reminded us that happiness is never guaranteed. One rainy evening, just months after we finally started dating, Olivia's father passed away peacefully. She disappeared from work for weeks. When she returned, she looked like someone carrying an invisible mountain. She smiled for everyone else but forgot how to smile for herself. Grief doesn't always arrive as tears. Sometimes it arrives as silence. Sometimes it steals your laughter before it steals your sleep. I wanted to fix her pain. I couldn't. All I could do was remain beside her, day after day, proving that love isn't measured by perfect words but by faithful presence. Slowly, she found her way back. Not because life became easier. Because she realized she no longer had to carry every burden alone. 2 years later, our company faced bankruptcy after losing several major contracts. Hundreds of employees feared unemployment. Executives prepared massive layoffs. Once again, people expected Olivia and me to protect our own careers first. Instead, we spent weeks developing a recovery strategy that required impossible hours, impossible faith, and complete trust in one another. We visited clients across the country, rebuilt damaged relationships, accepted responsibility for mistakes that weren't entirely ours, and reminded people why they had believed in the company in the first place. Against every prediction, the business survived. More importantly, so did hundreds of jobs. On the evening the recovery became official, we stood on the rooftop overlooking the city lights. It struck me how strange life truly was. Years earlier we had been convinced the other person was the obstacle preventing happiness. In reality, we had been the answer waiting for each other all along. Not every love story begins with attraction. Some begin with misunderstanding. Some begin with pride. Some begin with competition. And some begin with 3 simple words spoken during the worst possible night. One night only. Looking back now, I smile at how completely fate ignored those words. That single night became years of friendship, years of partnership, and eventually a lifetime built on trust stronger than ambition. People still ask us the secret behind our successful marriage and career. They expect complicated advice. Instead, I tell them something much simpler. Stop trying to win every battle. Start trying to understand the person standing on the other side. You never know whether your greatest rival is actually the person who will one day help you become the best version of yourself. If this story has touched your heart so far, please take a moment to comment with the words, "Kindness changes destiny." I'd truly love to see how many people still believe that compassion is stronger than pride. Years have passed since that unforgettable storm. The little roadside inn has long since been renovated. the company retreat became nothing more than an old memory. Our careers eventually became less important than the family we built together. Whenever heavy rain falls against our windows, Olivia smiles without saying a word. We both remember that impossible night when two exhausted rivals shared a tiny room, believing they were only surviving until morning. Neither of us realized fate had quietly rewritten our future while we slept. Before this story ends, if it moved your heart even a little, please like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps these stories reach people who may need a reminder that even painful beginnings can lead to beautiful endings. Life has an extraordinary way of bringing people together at exactly the moment they stop fighting each other and start seeing each other clearly. Sometimes destiny doesn't arrive wearing the face of a stranger. Sometimes it wears the face of the person you spent years believing was your enemy. And when kindness finally replaces pride, the ending you never imagined becomes the beginning you were always meant to find.